media. It goes on, and that's our presentation. Good night. So we are here to talk about social media, and the very fun title of this particular presentation that we've been using together, some of us for a while, social media, fundamental or frivolous? The answer is yes. It really depends on what you do with it. And you just saw a video filled with very interesting, real anecdotes and results and sizes. And it's supposed to inspire you to do stuff with it. But this particular presentation is not so much about the bright, shiny, this is the coolest thing in the world. This panel represents critics and fans of social media. So this is truly a conversation about what you can do with it, what you can't do with it, what you do or do not want to do with it. We're here to have a dialogue about it so that we know there's risk, we know there's time consumption. We also know there's a really great opportunity out there. So please, I dare you to try to get a word in edgewise with me, but these guys are polite enough to take your questions.
David, yeah. I dare you to define social media. What is it?
Hang on. Social media is when technology works. Give me a minute. I have a slide for that.
You want me to ask again?
No. What was the question?
I think I wanted you to define what social media is.
I think social media is the set of tools, platforms, if you will, these guys, that you can use to more efficiently, two things, communicate and collaborate. I truly believe that is why the internet was invented originally, and that is what it is proving to provide: more efficient communication and more efficient collaboration. That's my definition. You want to give it a go?
No, I don't have one.
Anyone else? Anyone else?
I got one.
All right.
But I can't get the mic.
Bring it on.
Social media is for us media that allows people to be social, which I know sounds pretty basic, but as we'll see in a little while, we grew up in a time where media was outbound, and now media is two-way, and that provides, as you said, a set of tools and platforms that changes the set of tactics that everybody can use, and changes the way that we talk to each other and the people that we have access to.
Yeah, that's great.
Hey,
so it just changes the dialogue around a bit. Another definition is it's a way for you to make more money, right? Because that's exactly what it is. It's a medium that you can actually increase the efficiency, communication, and collaboration of what you're currently doing right now. So there are three constituents in this room I see. FMA and how they collaborate. They're using LinkedIn and Facebook to more efficiently get you here and have you learn about the next event. That's more efficient. There's the second, which is you, your personal life, your professional life, and how your personal brand are following the company. How are you demonstrating who you are and sharing, making yourself more accessible. And the third is your clients. And I've asked a lot of you in the last hour the same question. I was trying to get some read on it. How important is your client's business to you? Because the answer was pretty important. The better they do, the better you help them do, the more money you will make. So how much do you want to invest in more efficient and productive technologies for them? How much do you need to know about what they need to do, that your clients, your prospects? I think that's what this is as much about as anything else. So the line we're using also is, what is ROI? It's either a term that you know and you've heard about, which is return on investment, or it is risk of inactivity. So what is the cost of not doing what you want to do with communicating? So I've simplified this even more to answer your question, Jeff. There are three forms of media, in my opinion. There's the stuff that you own, your billboard, your website, your building. There's media that you buy, which is advertising. And there's media that you earn, which is what social media is. You earn your right to be communicated with. You earn your right to have someone opt into your email. You earn your right for them to get your RSS feed to their phone daily if they're willing to do it. Isn't that great? So you have to earn it. So you have to have some important things you have to have. You have to understand that there is an opportunity in the marketplace with the efficiencies and the communication that we're just talking about, but also now there's an obligation. I mean, Apple has screwed it up for everybody. So you have to, the bar is raised so high, it's so elegant and smart now that people expect that. Your prospects expect that. Now, if your prospects don't, if you're in your marketplace, they're not, well, then you don't have to do any of this stuff. It's frivolous. But if they do, then you're obligated to communicate with them in the way that they want to be communicated with. Do they want a direct mail piece? Is that what they prefer? Send them a direct mail piece. If they prefer email, save you a lot more money and be a lot more trackable and all those wonderful things. So that's the obligation part. And most important of everything, and this is why Jeff is here, because he's a content guy, is the content that you produce and your strategy for producing it consistently is everything. So it's all really about you. Social media is about you personally, about your business. So that's what this presentation is about.
Should we change that slide to say them?
Yeah, maybe.
Because it's really about your audience.
Actually, yeah.
And I use the term audience all the time, which I fall into as a journalist because it's my audience, it's my readers. For you guys, it's your clients or your prospective clients. So it's really about them and how they will digest your message, really. And if you can think like them, then you'll be able to create content that resonates and that has value to them.
So what are the things that you have on your responsibility for your clients? Tracking sales, making their spending more efficient, more trackable. So another example we were talking about. The video that you saw to start out this presentation, I don't know, a couple million views, I didn't remember what it was. It's huge, right? Yeah. The people who created it was an agency. They had some fun creating it, had some cool tunes, and it was fun to watch, and it made you laugh a couple of times. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. They didn't pay a penny for distribution. They put it on YouTube for free. 1 million people saw it. They've got 20 customers from it. I mean, I talked to the owner, 6 months ago, because it's a second version. He goes, how do you actually, what's the metrics? I got 20 new customers. How much did you make from those? He goes, I talked to my accountant. Let's talk about you, this was the survey results. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it because it's really not that interesting, but we really tried to figure out what you guys were thinking. And what you were thinking was LinkedIn is really great. And that's great, because LinkedIn is really great. It's a fantastic way for you to participate. You can do a lot more than you're currently doing with it. And if you get anything from this presentation, it's do more with LinkedIn. We'll talk about why in a little bit. But you're not doing Facebook that much. You're probably doing it personally. Twitter, just as unoften, is that a word? Unoften?
Infrequently?
Infrequently, just as with Google and YouTube. So
I'm going to interrupt you right here.
Yeah.
Remember one of the recent sessions we did, we saw that Google was used as infrequently?
Yes.
I'm going to start blaming your survey because we keep coming up with groups that aren't using Google. Is it so rare that people know how to use Google? Who here has Google alerts set up on their industry name?
Raise mine.
All right, so that's a lot of people.
Yeah, that's good. So, you didn't answer the survey.
Yeah, evidently.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, this mic's kind of crappy, isn't it?
So not using mic?
You can yell. I'm going to yell. So, there's two reasons for this survey. One is hopefully you have some skin in the game, you answer the survey and you want to find out the answer, so you're going to come to the presentation, we can hit you hard for more ideas. And so that's one of the reasons. The other is we really do want to know what you guys are thinking, which is why we were working the room before asking you these questions, because we do want to learn about you. And that is really the point. There is a shift in conversations and in media. It's huge right now. I need to know more about you, because you won't listen to me if I don't know who you are. So let's talk about the shift in your marketplace and what's happening at your clients. Again, them. Old marketing was you had a product, did some packaging, distribution became important, did some customer resource management, and did some advertising, and the consumer was the last one to hear about stuff.
So essentially they were pushing out the entire time. You're just broadcasting your message.
So the shift is completely opposite now. It's as simple as that. The consumer is controlling the conversation. directing your advertising and choosing what they want to look at and virally distribute. Work through your CRM, they're talking to you. Distribution reacts to that. Packaging, of course, new products are developed all the time based on what consumers want. There's a term called crowdsourcing where they can actually help you define your marketplace. And the product is at the end of that conversation. So there's a general shift in thinking, not only for you, but also for your customers.
And it's a control thing. The control has moved more towards your client than it ever has before. They have so many more avenues where they can talk to other people and make referrals, so that's a positive. But they can also mention to just uncounted number of people if you slip up, if you don't provide the service that you've promised them. Never before have they had an audience as big. So it's something to worry about a little bit, but to understand that the same power they have is power that you can take advantage of.
The word shift is really about the control of that medium. Do you guys watch NBC or you watch Lost? You control which channels shows you want. You're not dictated by the channel. So this is an example. A lot of what we're talking about is taking your existing processes that you already know and you're comfortable with and just digitizing them a little bit and not trying to have you, how about this? I promise I won't make you Twitter.
Well, let me simplify that. What we're trying to do today is help you understand that the same message that you're sharing via that postcard, via that networking event, via whatever vehicle you're using, can be shared using new tools. And it can be shared fairly efficiently and easily without upending every other procedure you have in place. It doesn't take a heck of a lot of time. I mean, you have a ton of clients that do this now.
Sure.
And
a ton.
And they're doing it probably, to their surprise, much easier than they would have originally thought before you came on board.
Well, it's an additional channel, and that's what I wanted to jump in here for. I mean, for those of you who don't know, came up in journalism and now run a public relations and advertising agency, and of course we made use of social media on behalf of our clients. That said, when we talk about content in the early going, I think one thing that's very important to mention is that it's not just about your clients, it's about you, and it's about your brand and what you care about, and making sure that the people that you want to know you and the people that you want to speak with understand who you are before you walk in the door. So creating content is incredibly important, and what social media does is it gives more channels to get that content out. It hasn't changed, it really hasn't changed anything in my mind.
The message is the same.
The message is the same, the goals are the same. It's only additional tactics that you're able to use in order to connect with people. And that's why I talked about social in the beginning being more of a conversation, allowing media to be conversational. It gives you a connection point and allows people to understand who you are.
So David, when you said everyone in the room didn't get it, I think you're wrong. No, because everyone I talked to before we started said, hey, I went to your site. Hey, I looked you up. Hey, I Googled you. Yeah. Which is really kind of cool if you have that message out there for them to consume.
That was the obligation part. People are doing that, so now you're obliged to have a LinkedIn profile. Well, fine. That's the start. It's a fantastic start. And from the survey, you guys are all over that. The question is now what? And we're trying to throw in a couple of tips and techniques into this conversation to remind you about things that you can do, like joining LinkedIn groups, other groups in addition to the FMA group, and asking questions to those groups about things that you really want answers to, and then answering questions in those groups that you are interested in. Could be a bowling league group. Great, maybe you want to talk about bowling stuff. Do it, find out about it, learn about it. It's fun, and you get actually chosen as a good answer, and you get some badge for that. It's kind of fun.
So you get a reputation for being an expert in a certain area. Yeah. And even though everyone here might be on LinkedIn, maybe they haven't gone and looked at the questions and answers, which are separate from the groups, or they haven't searched for different groups that they're interested in. Maybe, like you were saying, they walked into the FMA group and that's it. But the more you can provide your expertise and give of your information, the more you get back. It really is, social media, as much as I'm not altruistic at all, I hate charities, but As much as social media is open and free for everyone, there is an altruism aspect to it. You're going to find the people that come in and do a sales pitch everywhere in every group and every post they make. But for the most part, people are out there willing to share their thoughts.
And you do that anyway. There's nothing that we're saying here that you're not doing. We're just throwing in a more efficient technology to do that. The side behind me is the 4 Ps, right? You've heard this ever since you started business. Product, place, price, and promotion. You say it all the time if you're thinking about developing new products and who you are. Well, they're just shifting a little bit. So now the product is an experience. They experience your product because it's more multimedia because you're letting it be. It's not just sitting on the shelves, or it's not just a service. The place is not just your people or on the shelves. It's every place. You can get access to it from your mobile phone. The price, the world is changing. Google has completely killed advertising, and it will continue to do so because now you
Not
actually
completely.
No, it's
Google's dead.
get a drink for Evan. Advertising is dead. It's a great line because it's not true and it is true. It's just changing. People choose what advertising. They can block your ads on your website. They fast forward through it on your TiVo, things like that. And promotion, lastly, it's kind of what we're doing here. We're promoting social media itself. We're evangelists. We're passionate about it. I'm going to go deep into this now. This is one of those digerati tools that a guy named Brian Solis and his team created. It's everything a business is doing right now. It's all the different aspects from customer content, supply chain, all the different things that are currently going on in your clients and in your business, representing each one of the colors, beautiful colors. And inside there are logos of companies on the internet, applications that make it easy to do that, like online phone systems that are easier to track and cheaper and free, Skype. That's what this is. So this, by the way, I didn't mention it up front, the presentation is on my blog, which is called Eat Media. It's there right now, and if you want to see it later, it's available for free to download and look at these details. So we're not going to go deep into that, but the point is there's a service for everything. And yes, there's an app for that. If you're interested, we could go deeper into that, but we're not going to right now. The most important thing here in the bottom right-hand corner is Google. There's a whole bunch of free stuff. You guys should go to Google, go to Google Labs. I promise you will be fascinated with the free stuff that you can get. You put a little code on your site, you can learn how to do that. It's not that difficult, and it will tell you who's going to your site. That's all you have to do is put a little line of code into the HTML of your site, find someone to help you do that, and you can track for free, and Google Analytics, bottom right-hand corner there, will tell you how much traffic you're getting, where they're from. And it's fascinating. That's just, we'll help you take.
Can I sidetrack you for 1 second, or actually bring you around to a conversation that you and I had a couple weeks ago that I think is relevant to this slide and to something else that I've come across, and that is that we don't know. I mean, the people here, we know a lot. We know a lot about media, but everything is changing. Again, the goals and the theory all remain the same. But you see all the tools on that, and next year it'll be a different slide with different tools that are back there. And Edelman, which if you guys aren't familiar with them, a pretty big international agency, came out with a list of 11 trends to watch in social media just a couple days ago. And you know what? 11 is a lot. That's a lot of trends. It's all changing, and you run down their list, which includes things like digital curation and developer engagement and ubiquitous social computing. If you dig deep, it's a pretty good list, but it's also fairly ridiculous. And if you look at it, the only thing that isn't changing is multi-channel storytelling and thought leadership. That's the constant. That's something that will always be there, and these tools will change, and we're going to try and keep up to date on what the best ways are to get that message out there. But it's in flux, and I think we'd be lying if we said we know everything about social media, because we're probably about 10% into social media as we'll know it in 3 years, which is when it will all be defined and this will be open.
3 years. 3 years is so far out. as I mentioned to a few people, I introduced myself to when I was walking around. I'm the social media trainer for the Society of Professional Journalists nationwide. They fly me to newsrooms all over the country, and I train journalists on how to use these tools. Every time I go to a session, I have to redo my slide deck. And last year, I was doing one every 2 weeks at different newsrooms all over the country, and I had to change it every 2 weeks. There's a site out there called Mashable. If you've ever been to Mashable, all it does is cover news relating to social media. Every month, they put out one blog post that says 20 social media tools you need to know. And it's different tools every month, every column. And one session I do at the annual conference of the Society of Professional Journalists and National Association of Broadcasters is 60 sites in 60 minutes. Not good for me because I have a little lisp, but it's really 157 sites that we never get all the way through, and we have to completely revamp the thing every year.
So let me take the pressure off you by taking the thought in your mind and saying, oh my God, how do we choose them over here tomorrow?
Oh, I didn't mean to scare you.
Why bother investing in any of them? We will make it easy for you. These are the 5 to invest in. That's it. This is the second helpful hint for today. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Right? Google is in there as well because it kind of transcends all of them. But these are the actual social media tools themselves. And let's talk about them. You guys want to talk about this just a little bit, or do you know about all these guys? Okay.
Well, who's on Facebook?
Yeah, creative mind.
Personally and for business.
That's good.
Who's on Facebook only for business?
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Well, that's
true for me too. I don't use Facebook for business. It's my
Facebook's fantastic for business.
It is.
You can have long conversations.
My clients use it.
There you go. All right, go ahead.
So, Facebook, 500 million users, valuation at, remembers from last week?
Couple there.
And frankly, they deserve it because people need to connect, and this is a tool that allows them to connect. It's the new water cooler, right? Ever since Seinfeld went off TV, there's no more water cooler. So Facebook finally took several years to get back up. 500 million users. Here's a short take on it from my opinion. The reason why Facebook is great, it's personal, because you can share a lot of personal media of stuff you're doing, from your grandkids to your golf outing to your presentation that you just did, and easily people can receive that information from you without bothering to email that. It's also global. 70% is not in America. Right? So if you have a global business or your clients have a global business, dig on Facebook. LinkedIn, you're doing it. That's great. 70 million members. The reason why I like it is for your business brand. Yeah, it can be a resume, but it's active. There's things that you're doing. Your Twitter feed can be in there. The books you're reading. Or there's other things that I think are really important. Your recommendations are there. That's probably the most relevant thing to this room. You guys are working on your recommendations. That's why you're here. That you come here for referrals. You come here to have a brand. You can now take that and show that to more people because your buds who are in this room can write something nice about you. I have a couple of people who don't say anything about me. Left them on. They're true. But it's also very important for another reason. This whole efficiency thing I was talking about. They're updating their own database. So when you get fired, because you're bound to, you go to a different company, right? And what happens is you change your own database. So when I'm connecting to you, I still have that connection. So I don't have to worry about updating my database. So it's an efficiency tool that other people are updating for themselves for your benefit. So do more LinkedIn. Twitter.
Now, I want to ask the question, who thinks Twitter has no use for your business? You can be honest. I heard some people saying it beforehand. I mean, why would you even be on Twitter in this business? Maybe we'll tell you later.
It goes back to what your process was. You're going to Twitter in the content area. Okay, good. I consider Twitter valuable for one point, just for the slide. It's live pointers to your other stuff. So everything you're doing on your blog or your website or your event, you tell people on Twitter, and it's an easy way to say what's going on. If they're interested, they get reminded. So it's live pointers, an alert system. And last but definitely not least, use us YouTube-powered video earlier, and it makes it's easy. Everything is on Twitter. It is the #2 search engine in the world. Google being #1, YouTube being #2. Who owns YouTube? Google. Okay, that's why we're not talking about Google. This is so on. All I'm not gonna go deep into this, but it serves a purpose, because I'm going back to your business, your client's business. There are 3 phases that the customers make decisions based upon 3 phases. There's an awareness phase, consideration phase, and a decision phase. Duh, pretty simple. That process that buyer goes through is all over the place. During that time, I don't care if it's 5 minutes or 5 years or 5 months, there's a time frame that this decision process is happening. During that time frame, these are a selection of the tools that we're talking about, from webcasts down here, online vendor demos, trial software, all those kinds of things. From later on in the decision-making process to earlier in the decision process, like search engines, ebooks, white papers, things like that. Just gives you a visual about where these tools that you're building, where they become important. And some of them are important throughout the entire process, like the search engine, but others get important later on. I think it's an important point to differentiate from all these different tools that are out there. I thought it was going to be helpful.
Can you go back for 1 second?
Not from Homer. You can't go back.
Oh, sorry, because trying really is, go on, I'll let you finish it.
Trying is the first step towards failure.
It's hard to go back from that point. I apologize.
Take on Homer.
I just wanted to point out that social media, again, we talked about different channels. All of these things listed on the left-hand side, and 5 years ago I could read them all, and now I can't. But case studies, podcasts, white papers, this is the kind of content that we're talking about, that social media gives you the opportunity to pulse that out in more and more ways. So a white paper that you've written appears to somebody 5 different times in 5 different ways, without seeming like you're beating them over the head.
Right, a direct mail piece, printed, tree killing and all that stuff.
Right.
Email, electronic, Kindle, mobile phone. I mean, it's repurposing that. So again, it's efficiency for more people. It goes back to the first point that I made: is what do your clients want? Do they want a direct mail piece, or do they want to only use a mobile app? Well, then you might be obligated to do it. All right, the reason why Homer is here is because he reminds me of Jeff. And this is Jeff's slide.
What we were talking about earlier is that you have to know your audience, and then you have to know what your message is to tell that audience. Everything really is about storytelling, no matter what channel you put that in. And to address the raised hands from people that don't see use for